Hey guys, welcome back. Let's see, we left off with a short tour of the interface, and I thought these guys don't want to spend all time listening to what I have to say. They want to get their hands dirty and start doing exercise 1, so I'll go through that with you, how I plan this whole course. You will get a PDF drawing that I want you to replicate exactly in the software. So I'm gonna attach this drawing in the YouTube description. I think it will be a Google Drive link or something like that, any file share. And I want you to open that up right now and take a look at it. So what you see before you is three-dimensional shape of what the final object should look like. And then you got two other drawings. These are the sketch drawings where I added the lines for dimensions, radiuses, and measurements all along. So I want you to duplicate this exactly, and I'll be going through it with you so we can do it the same time. I'm going to be talking about some new tools. We're going to be looking at some constraints, and we're going to be talking about this little timeline down here. So how to start out? Well, I want you to make a sketch on the XY plane, like so. And now I want you to think about the largest shape in the drawing. I want you to make the circle part first, because I find that to be a good start for any kind of project. You start with a major shape and work your way down to the smaller details later on. So I'm going to be selecting my circle tool with the left mouse button. And then I'm going to need a start point for this. And I'm going to press the middle, the origin. So I lock the start to the origin. And now you can actually see something. I might not have talked about this in the previous lesson, but you see this little text field here? That's actually where we can type our dimensions. So if I wanted this to be like 100 millimeters in diameter, it could be, or I can leave this blank, but for now 100 millimeters is okay. I can finish this with the left mouse button. Now I get a circle that is 100 millimeters, and this little text right here, this is actually our dimension. It's actually just a text object, and we can drag this and place this anywhere where we want. So take all of this and place it wherever you'd like. And if you can see in my drawing, we've actually made a mistake here. And the circle, the big circle, is supposed to have a diameter of 80 millimeters instead of 100. But that's no problem. We're in the CAD software. We can always double click this text, right? Like so. And type 80, like so. And there we have an 80 millimeter circle in the middle of our scene. So the next largest shape is the little Pac-Man mouth we got in there. So it's a half circle that is connected to the edges of the larger circle. So I'm going to show you how to make that. The first thing we need to take a look at is that if you can see at our drawing, the measurement isn't exactly what we're used to. Here we gave a dimension in diameter, and it says on the drawing R15, that means radius 15. So we draw a new circle. We use the same origin point for our circle, like so, one left click. And to define how big this is gonna be, I'm going to write 15. But that's just half. Since the radius is half of the diameter, we can always multiply this by 2. And you see there, I wrote an expression inside this window. You can do math and use variables and all that stuff in these windows. You can also like do complicated things if you wanted to divide by 2 and plus 5. Anything we can think of. But for now, we're just going to take the radius, that is 15, times 2, since we want the diameter, and press enter. Okay, now we're going to connect the two circles with each other, and we're going to use the line tool, and I'm going to talk about constraints. So you see this X constraint, we're going to make sure we start on the little circle, and we go all the way out to the big circle. And if we see that little X icon, we can make sure that it's made a constraint there. And you can also see Fusion is trying to help us out and make this line perfectly straight. So we see that little icon for the horizontal constraint right there. Now you might notice something interesting. This line and this line of the two circles is black. And this line is blue in color when we don't have it selected. So if we hover over it, it turns blue just to indicate that we're trying to select it. But you can see they are not the same color. And why is that? Yeah, because when an object is fully constrained, the line color changes to black. So that means just fully constrained means it's totally defined by rules. And what rules is driven this circle? Well, the start position is in the middle and the diameter is set to 80. So it can't really do anything else than be this shape. This line, however, we've just given it a start location and an end location. But if we take this line and drag with our mouse a little bit, you can see, let's see here, you see like this. This line isn't locked. The end and start position is locked, and we've told the line that it's perfectly straight, but we can still move this. So we need to lock this. I want you to have all your lines be black. That's like the lesson for today. Make sure most of your lines is black. Fusion is going to work perfectly fine with blue lines that are unconstrained, but it's just going to help you later on when you're drawing complex things and you're making rules and complex relationship between parts. Try to keep everything fully constrained in black, and that's a challenge in itself. And if you're unsure what rules are missing, you can always just take this line and drag it. See, oh, it's not locked in the it doesn't have any distance or anything. So that's the rules that is missing. I'm gonna do a trick here. I'm gonna be using a new constraint and I'm gonna add it manually. So we're gonna look at the tangent constraint today. The tangent locks the line to a tangent. So first of all, when I activate this tool, we get to pick the first line, the line that is gonna be affected. So I press this line anywhere on this line, and now we're gonna choose the parent. So I'm going to choose this tiny circle. You see, we got a lock on the tangent and the line became black. So it's fully locked. And you see this little icon here? It means we have a tangent constraint. We can always delete this constraint by just hovering over it, selecting it with the left mouse button, pressing delete. And you see our line is back again. Blue as ever, and we can move it. But we're gonna do that again. So tangent constraint on the line to the circle. Now it's locked. If you're wondering what this is, I'm just pressing right mouse button since it's faster for me. And I'm choosing escape here or cancel when I'm in the tool just to deselect that. You can do the same thing with the escape key. So now we're gonna have a different line on the bottom here. So we're gonna activate the line tool, press somewhere on the small circle to the large circle. Just make sure we have those constraints in place. And it's unlocked. So I'm gonna use the tangent constraint to lock it to smaller circles tangent. And what's beautiful here is that we haven't defined any length for this line. So in theory, we could change the size of this circle right here and all the lines would follow. I'm just gonna try that. So I'm gonna change this to maybe 45. And you see that our lines is locked to the tangent. You can go back, change this to 15. And the lines update with this size. Same thing if we chose the greater circle, change this to 100. You see the lines go all the way from the smaller circle to the larger circle. Like so. Okay, now we're gonna do the last final detail. We're gonna do the small circles. So I want you to be a bit messy about this. I want you to use the circle tool and just add 3 circles. The size doesn't really matter right now, because we're gonna define the size of these circles in what's called the dimension tool. So you've seen these boxes appear when I'm trying to make a shape, but if we just lazily throw out these circles, we can always define the size of them later. So I'm going to just do just that. I'm going to use the dimension tool, and now I'm going to press the outer radius of this. So yeah, I'm going to press the outer circle. If we were to press the middle point of the circle, you see this little icon right here. I'm going to zoom into this. This could actually control where the circle is positioned, but now I'm worried about how big the circle is going to be. So I use the sketch dimension tool, outer bounds, like so, and I get this little text tool right here. I'm gonna press maybe over here, writing 10 millimeters, and I'm gonna do the same thing for these other circles, so you get some repetition doing this. I'm still in my dimension tool. If you for some reason press escape, it's over here. Dimension tool, bounds of the circle, press somewhere, 10 millimeters. Outer bounds, and press again to release, 10 millimeters. Great. Now they all got their size, but they don't got their place. I'm just gonna use constraints for this. And I want these 2 lines to be horizontally constrained to the middle point. I'm gonna use the horizontal vertical constraint for this. So I press the horizontal vertical constraint. Now I'm gonna use the middle point. So middle point, and now Fusion is asking in relation to what do you want this aligned. So I'm gonna take the origin point right here. Boom, and you can see it moved. I'm gonna do that again. So I'm gonna use the horizontal constraint, middle point of the circle, press once, and it's asking in relation to what, and I choose the origin and it snaps to it. Now the horizontal vertical constraints has the name horizontal vertical because it can be used in both axes. So what about this one? Is this gonna snap up here? Or, well, it's gonna be using the closest of these 2, horizontal or vertical. So this one is gonna align to this in the horizontal. So if I try to drag this, I'm locked to the horizontal. You can see a difference here. They're still blue. There's something missing. And you might have figured it out by just dragging these circles. They're locked horizontally, but they need a distance. And the dimension tool can be great in doing distances as well. So we use the dimension tool again. Now we press the middle of the circle, and it's asking in relation to what. And I want to measure it against the origin point. I press the origin point, and we get this little text, like so. This text can be placed anywhere, like so. And if you check our drawing, you can see it's 28. And there we go. It's black, it's fully constrained. And now I'm going to do the same for the other 2 circles. So, middle point in relation to the origin. Place the text maybe over here. Right, 28. And this one to the origin. Let's place this text just anywhere here. 28. There we go. We got a fully constrained sketch. And we're actually gonna be heading out of the sketch mode right now. So you see this big green button? It means we're finished with the sketch. We can always re-enter our sketch if we're done with this. But if we press this, we're gonna return to the usual solid modeling workspace, like so. You see our tools are back. We're outside the sketch. If we made any mistake in this sketch, don't think that we're done with this. We can always go to the timeline or here in the browser and right click and edit sketch. And we're back. So I'm going to show you a neat thing about our timeline, because I haven't talked about the timeline. This timeline contains every step that we make in CAD modeling. So you can see here we just got one step. We created a sketch. The sketch is named Sketch 2. But once we use the extrude, another icon is going to appear here. And think of this as a time machine. We can actually go backwards and forwards in time. So I'm going to use the extrude tool. This time, unlike the last lesson, we don't get any profiles selected because we have multiple. You see, when I hover over these, we can select just one or many of them. If you have seen the finished 3D model of this, you might think that we should select this one, and that would be 100% correct. But if we didn't want that one, we can select these ones, and we get the opposite shape. We can make something like this, or we can take this and give it a size of, let's see here. I'm going to be looking at the front view portion of our design sketch, and I can see that the thickness of this is 5. There we go. Now we see this extra step. We created a 3D shape by our extrude. We can always go back to our first sketch, edit this one. Let's say we're unhappy with the size of this. So I'm going to change this to 60. No, not 60. Maybe 45. Like so. And when I press this finish sketch button, you're going to see that we're passing through the timeline again, and it's re-evaluating that extrude command we just did. When I press finish sketch, either here or here, you're going to see the model updated. And we can bring this timeline back and look at our sketch, our model before the extrude and after. You might have seen something interesting when I move the timeline back. Fusion is automatically hiding the sketch that we were working with. That's why we don't see anything. It's still here. It's still available to us in the browser window. So Fusion is trying to help us out in different ways. Sometimes it can be really helpful, like hiding sketches, or sometimes it can be devastating. So just keep that in mind, and that's why I'm kind of focused on the constraints and these blue little icons that Fusion is trying to help us out with, because I want you to know what's going on when you're making stuff. So I'm going to drag the timeline back, and since this isn't correct, I'm going to go into our sketch, edit sketch. Let's see here, this is a mess. But over here, I'm gonna say 30. And press finish sketch. And that's that. So you're finished with exercise 1. We're gonna be saving this, press Ctrl S. And the first time you save something, you're gonna be giving this a name. So exercise 1. And the default location for this is the admin project. You can make additional folders like this, or you can place it anywhere that you want. Just keep in mind that these folder locations are in the cloud. It's not actually on your own PC. It's somewhere in the cloud on Fusion servers. So don't worry if you can't navigate to any file on your system. But the first time we save something, you can see the name updated here. So exercise 1 version 1. What does that mean? If I went ahead and made changes to the sketch right now, let's say this little circle is actually 15. I pressed finish sketch and tried to save again, you would see a different dialog box, because Fusion has a built-in version control software. So I'm actually making the same file but a different version of it. So I can give this version a name like large hole, and I can press OK. When I open this file back again, I can choose what kind of saved version I wanted to get. So I can actually go back to a later saved, and that kind of protects you from saving over your work. Just keep that in mind. We're never finished. We're never final in anything. You can always go back and change things. Okay, that's it for lesson number 1. See you back again in lesson number 2. Take care.